Hawaiian Punch feels like it's always existed. It's red. It's sweet. It tastes vaguely like fruit. In the same way a candle labeled Tropical Escape smells like fruit. You probably drank it out of a cup at lunch and never once asked yourself, what the heck is this stuff? But lucky for you, today we're taking a look at how an ice cream topping became a lunch drink for kids. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. After that, please leave a comment and let us know what other lunch drinks you'd like to hear about. Okay, now grab a bendy straw because it's time to punch in. Hawaiian Punch started life in 1934 under the radically unexpected name Leo's Hawaiian Punch. Amazing to see the creative lengths they went to change that one, right? But despite what your childhood memories may suggest, Leo's Hawaiian Punch was not a drink. It was an ice cream topping, specifically a thick, syrupy fruit concentrate designed to be poured over sundaes. It was sold exclusively to ice cream parlors and soda fountains, and it was the kind of product that came in giant glass jugs, not lunchboxes. Leo's Hawaiian Punch was created in a garage in Fullerton, California by three men, Ralph Harrison, Tom Yates, and A.W. Leo. That's right, Leo was a surname. Bet you didn't see that coming. Anyway, together they all ran a company called Pacific Citrus Products Company. God, did these guys have a way with words or what? The original formula for Leo's Hawaiian Punch contained 5 fruit juices: orange, pineapple, passion fruit, guava, and papaya. All of them were imported from Hawaii, which is almost certainly where our wordsmiths got the name from. And we're pretty proud of them, because knowing these guys, their first draft was probably Leo's imported multi-fruit garage syrup. In 1938, they patented the recipe, officially locking down the intellectual property for what was essentially tropical-flavored sugar lava. And again, this stuff was not meant to be drunk. Drank, drinked, whatever. The point is, humans are curious creatures, and eventually, someone looked at this jug of neon red syrup and thought, what if water? Sure enough, people started diluting the topping with good old H2O and discovered that it made a shockingly good drink. That's right, these sugar addicts were cutting their supply of ice cream topping with water so that they could chug the stuff as a beverage. It certainly was not healthy or subtle, but it was tasty, which is often all America really needs. Before Hawaiian Punch ever became a drink, a brand, or a childhood dental nightmare, it lived in a very specific ecosystem: the American soda fountain. And in the 1930s, soda fountains weren't just places to get dessert, they were social hubs. Teenagers hung out there, adults flirted there, entire romances lived and died over phosphates and sundaes. Or at least that's what Mickey Rooney wants us to think. And it made Leo's Hawaiian Punch perfect for the moment. Ice cream parlors and soda fountains were constantly looking for new flavors, new colors, and new gimmicks to stand out, and this syrup delivered all three. It wasn't just sweet, it was aggressively tropical at a time when most Americans had never been to Hawaii and thought pineapple was an exotic luxury. And remember, this stuff was thick, like barely wants to leave the bottle thick. It coated ice cream like chocolate sauce and stained everything it touched with a vibrant, suspicious red, which unintentionally made it great branding. If you saw Hawaiian Punch once, you remembered it forever, probably because it ruined your khakis. What's wild is that the discovery of Hawaiian Punch as a drink wasn't some carefully planned innovation in a lab or a garage. It was customer-driven chaos. Someone diluted it, then someone else did. Suddenly, ice cream parlors and soda fountains were quietly serving it as a beverage, probably without telling the guys who invented it. And thank God for that, because who knows what they would have tried to call it. Anyway, this whole thing is extremely on brand for American food history. As in, oops, people like the mistake better this way. That garage in Fullerton didn't just create a topping, it created a loophole. And once Reuben P. Hughes bought the company, that loophole became the entire business model. In 1946, the Hawaiian Punch story takes a turn when businessman Reuben P. Hughes buys the company. And Hughes immediately realizes something important. This thing doesn't need ice cream. So he rebrands the product and starts selling Hawaiian Punch Base directly to consumers in 1-quart glass containers. You still had to mix it with water yourself, but now it was officially a beverage product, not a dessert accessory. By 1950, Hawaiian Punch evolved into its next form: 46-ounce ready-to-serve tins. That's right, Hawaiian Punch used to come in a can. A big one, like soup, which honestly feels appropriate for something this thick. In 1954, the brand introduced its second flavor, Sunshine Yellow, at which point the original red flavor was retroactively renamed Rosy. Sunshine Yellow was basically rosy without orange juice, dyed yellow instead of red. Same girl, different font. Around this time, they also added a sixth fruit to the Rosy formula, apricot puree. And this was big, because if there's one thing Hawaiian Punch needed, it was less clarity about what the flavor actually was. By 1955, Hawaiian Punch was available as frozen concentrate, and by that point, it was a national brand. From ice cream topping to freezer aisle staple in just 2 decades. And then in 1962, Hawaiian Punch got its most unexpected glow-up of all. It was purchased by R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. And this is where things take a troubling turn. One thing Hawaiian Punch figured out very early, long before the tobacco companies got their grubby little fingers in there, was the power of color. Because if you close your eyes and taste Hawaiian Punch, you might struggle to identify a specific fruit. But if you open your eyes, oh, it's red. Very red. Food scientists and marketers have long known that color heavily influences flavor perception, and Hawaiian Punch leaned into that hard. Rosy red didn't just look fruity, it looked fun. It looked exciting. It looked like something children would absolutely choose over boring old orange juice. Sunshine Yellow was part of the same logic. It wasn't about nutritional diversity or flavor nuance. It was about visual variety. Different color, same sugar rush. To hell with flavor. And this mattered more than it sounds, because Hawaiian Punch wasn't being sold on health or flavor or anything else. It was being sold on vibes, tropical vibes, vacation vibes. Am I in Hawaii or is this just my kitchen vibes? This also explains why Hawaiian Punch stuck with artificial coloring even as real juice became more available. Natural juice separates, it browns, it oxidizes. It looks natural and honest. Hawaiian Punch was selling fantasy, and fantasy, historically, looks better in red, and looks better under fluorescent store lighting when it's dyed within an inch of its life. When R.J. Reynolds acquired Hawaiian Punch, it was primarily being marketed as a cocktail mixer. Something you'd pour into rum, vodka, or whatever your uncle was pouring in those little wooden tiki cups at his luau-themed divorce party. But RJR didn't want Hawaiian Punch to be a niche adult product. They wanted to sell it to kids. Why? Because by the 1960s and 1970s, cigarette companies were starting to face increased scrutiny over the health effects of smoking. Selling nicotine to children was becoming, how do we put this, a big no-no. So tobacco companies did what any ethical corporation would do. They pivoted to sugar. According to reporting later summarized by the New York Post, cigarette companies shifted focus to soft drinks when tobacco regulation tightened, and RJR had a major advantage. They already knew exactly how to market addictive products. They applied cigarette marketing strategies directly to Hawaiian Punch. Bright colors, bold flavors, mascots, and relentless targeting to housewives and children. Enter Punchy. Punchy, the cartoon mascot who loved punching people in the face while yelling, "How about a nice Hawaiian Punch?" became the face of the brand in the early 1960s. There's some debate about whether Punchy existed before RJR fully took over, but thanks to Reynolds, he became inescapable. Punchy was to Hawaiian Punch what Joe Camel was to Camel cigarettes, a friendly cartoon character who absolutely did not exist for adults. And RJR wasn't alone. Philip Morris International, owners of Marlboro cigarettes, followed a similar path, purchasing Kool-Aid in 1985 and eventually creating the Kool-Aid Man, essentially the Marlboro Man, if you were a sentient jug of red liquid. This was not subtle. Anyway, in 1973, RJR introduced powdered Hawaiian Punch, making it cheaper, shelf-stable, and even easier to mainline into America's children. According to internal company documents reported decades later, cigarette companies used the same flavoring chemicals in kids' drinks that they used in flavored tobacco products. things like cherry and apple additives. The stated goal, according to a 1985 report, was to leave people wanting more, which is low-key haunting. They even conducted taste tests on children, experimenting with different sweetness levels, colors, and flavor profiles to determine which combinations kids liked best. In 1983, Hawaiian Punch helped pioneer the juice box, and sales jumped 34% almost immediately. Let's face it, those 46-ounce cans were too big for their tiny, sticky hands. They needed a portable sugar delivery system with a straw for kids. Mission accomplished. The juice box wasn't just a packaging innovation, it was a marketing stroke of genius. Before juice boxes, drinks came in glasses, cans, or bottles, all adult-coded, all shared, all regulated by parents. The juice box changed that by creating a single-serving beverage designed exclusively for kids. And the straw mattered more than you think. Unlike bottles or cans, straws encourage continuous sipping, which means prolonged exposure to sugar and acid. You don't gulp a juice box, you nurse it. Sometimes for an entire lunch period, sometimes on the bus ride home, sometimes until the bottom gets all soggy and collapses and your hands are sticky and stained red forever. From a marketing standpoint, it was perfect. Portable, cheap, bright, disposable, and crucially, something kids could open themselves. No adult permission required. This mirrored cigarette marketing strategies almost beat for beat. Think about it. First off, we have the oral fixation. Fantastic. Take a nice long drag of that fruit-flavored beverage, kids. Then we look at Joe Camel. He wasn't just a mascot. He represented autonomy, coolness, independence. Hawaiian Punch juice boxes offered a similar promise, just with fewer lawsuits. Internal testing focused obsessively on mouthfeel, sweetness curves, and aftertaste, because RJR already understood something critical. The first sip gets attention, but the last sip determines whether someone wants another. And they weren't shy about it. The goal was never hydration. It wasn't nutrition. It was habit formation. If you think this all sounds kinda sinister, you're right. It kinda was. And Hawaiian Punch wasn't unique. It was just one of the most successful examples of an entire industry pivoting from nicotine to sugar and applying the same very successful playbook. Which is why the product didn't just survive cultural shifts, it thrived, especially in lunchrooms and backyard birthday parties. So how bad is Hawaiian Punch actually? Let's start with sugar. While a standard 8-ounce serving of Hawaiian Punch contains similar amounts of sugar as, say, apple juice, it has little to no fiber, protein, or vitamins to balance it out. So nutritionally, it's closer to soda than juice. Then there are the artificial colors, including Red 40, which has been linked to cancer and in some studies to behavioral issues in children, though research is still ongoing and debated. The drink is also highly acidic, which can contribute to tooth enamel erosion, especially when consumed regularly or, sipped slowly throughout the school day. And let's not forget that multiple health organizations have pointed out the connection between sugary drinks and childhood obesity. Hawaiian Punch is often cited as an example of a beverage that looks like juice but nutritionally isn't, which is kind of the whole problem. It's a fruit-themed cosplay. So if Hawaiian Punch is nutritionally inferior, heavily processed, and historically sketchy, why is it still around? Because nostalgia is one hell of a drug. For many adults, Hawaiian Punch isn't a drink, it's a memory. Birthday parties, school lunches, summer afternoons where rules were looser and sugar was unlimited. And food companies know that nostalgia doesn't care about ingredient labels or nutrition facts. There's also the price factor. Hawaiian Punch is cheap to produce, cheap to ship, and cheap to sell. No refrigeration required, no fruit supply chain volatility, just powder, water, color, and marketing. That makes it incredibly resilient, especially in lower-income markets where access to fresh juice isn't always practical or affordable. And while modern parents are more label-conscious, kids still respond to the same things they always have. Bright colors, sweet flavors, and packaging that feels like it was made for them. Hawaiian Punch has adjusted just enough to survive. New flavors, new formats, quieter marketing, without ever fundamentally changing what it is. Which is, and has always been, dessert pretending to be hydration. Today, Hawaiian Punch is owned by Keurig Dr. Pepper. having passed through several corporate hands since its tobacco-era origins. There are now dozens of flavors, from classic fruit Juicy Red to deeply suspicious varieties like Berry Blue Typhoon. It's available in bottles, cans, pouches, boxes, and yep, even powders still. It competes primarily with brands like Kool-Aid, Capri Sun, and other sweetened fruit drinks, though its market share has declined as parents become more label conscious. Still, Hawaiian Punch remains culturally iconic, and its legacy is complicated, to say the least. Because at the end of the day, Hawaiian Punch is still what it always was, a sugary ice cream topping masquerading as fruit punch. Popularized, industrialized, and aggressively marketed to children by a tobacco company that needed something new and addictive to sell, which honestly makes it one of the most quintessential American food stories imaginable. So next time you see Hawaiian Punch in the grocery store, remember, it's not Hawaiian, it's not a punch, and it definitely doesn't belong in a lunchbox, especially if you're asking your dentist. So what do you think? And did you grow up drinking Hawaiian Punch? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from Weird History Food.